Listeners, we know you love Cricket et al., the podcast, and what's not to love, but you can also love us online and read Cricket et al., the Substack experience. Isn't that right, Pete?
That's right. It's a podcast, a website.
It's a way of life. cricketetal.com for all your cricket reading needs. It's Gideon Haig over here.
And it's Peter Lawler over here.
And welcome to Cricket et al. Special edition. We've come hot foot from George Bailey's briefing in Brisbane, where I couldn't find a way to turn my microphone on so I could get a chance to ask a question. But
I wondered what had happened to you.
Yeah, I know. I was sitting there thinking, oh, what'll I do? I'll probably do something stupid. I'll start feeding back, you know.
I press the button. He doesn't know how to put his hand up, which I must admit I didn't know either in these Zoom calls, because it's been so long since I've asked a question. But it's always a special press conference when you come. I mean, that's the first thing that everyone talks about, including the chairman of Selectors. Gosh, Gideon Haig.
Well,
are you available? Are you?
I didn't have to leave my study, so that made it nice and easy for me. And I guess someone else will take care of the transcript. But we have a squad, Pete. We have a squad. And as I was saying the other day, we've got a squad. It's not a team, it's a squad. And in fact, it's 15. Australia has gone overseas with fewer players than 15 before. I guess we are kind of going sort of international. We are going to Western Australia for the for the first test, but we'll have plenty of reinforcements, won't we, Pete? Would you like to go through the team? I think you've got it in front of you.
This dropped 60 minutes ago, Gideon, and will be it's no surprise to readers of Cricket et al. Who were assured that this would be the makeup of the squad quite recently and regularly. Steve Smith, captain. Sean Abbott, Scott Boland, Alex Carey, Brendan Doggett, Cameron Green, Josh Hazlewood, Travis Head, Josh Inglis, Usman Khawaja, Marnus Labuschagne, Nathan Lyon, Mitchell Starc, Jake Weatherald, and Bo Webster. So the critical name there, I think, is Jake Weatherald, isn't it?
Yeah. And
he had dismiss Inglis. He's a backup player.
Yeah. And he had to wait until the end because his name starts with W. That's always slightly agonising, isn't it? I think Doug Walters had that experience. He described having that experience back in 1965 when he was named for his first test, because they used to read the 11s out rigidly in chronological order. I guess when R for Renshaw didn't come up, W for Weatherald probably knew that he was in with a good shake. But so he's got the first step of the way there. But it was interesting that George declined today to give us a cut and dried 11 in batting order. He was asked about whether Marnus bats at 3 and whether Smith bats at 4, and he sort of said, well, probably, but it's up to Pat and it's up to McDonald and it's up to Smith, and so now we've got an order subcommittee reporting, I guess, into the selection subcommittee. Everything is a committee these days.
So George says it sounds. Sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
Go on.
No. So George says it's 16 days before the first ball is bowled. Mm-hmm. We should take in all the information possibly available, and that includes the next round of the Sheffield Shield, in which 14 of these 15 or something like that will play.
He did like that stat, didn't he? He did like that stat that 14 of the 15 are playing, and Usman is the only one who's not playing because apparently he's resting an adductor.
Now, I suppose you could applaud the common sense of giving yourself all the time available, but I kind of go back to that. Was it 10 or 11 when they named a squad of 17?
17, yeah.
I went back to check my reporting.
Did you, right?
And I announced it was decisively indecisive. And I never liked it at all.
No. That was a marketing decision, wasn't it? That was a marketing decision. Remember they bought everyone out in the rain under the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And like about 3 people turned up. It was kind of public. It was
pissing down. We were huddled under umbrellas. Yeah.
And it was well in advance. How far in advance was it of the first ball? I reckon it might have been almost a month.
Ooh,
and I think the idea was that gradually players would be eliminated over succeeding days, like some sort of like Survivor,
Hunger Games or something like that. Yeah. So we really don't know what the 11's yet.
No.
Do you understand why we don't know what the 11 is?
I don't really.
Well, do you understand what's at play? I did ask that question, didn't I?
Yeah.
It seems to me, it must all pivot on green.
Yes, I guess.
On Cameron Green.
Yeah.
If Cameron Green is tickety-boo, as they say in elite cricket circles, then that would mean, what does that mean, Peter? It means that Webster is out. He bats and Green bats at 6.
Yes.
Weatherald and Khawaja open. Usman, not Usman, Marnus bats at 3.
Yeah. In an alternative universe, if Green is not fit to bowl, then he can bat at 3. Menzies Smith can bat at 4, and Webster can play, but Marnus opens.
Yeah.
Even though I got the feeling from Marnus's remarks the other night during the white ball, that interview at the white ball game, that he would like to bat at 3. And of course that's where he's making a ton of runs at the moment. And batters are superstitious, necessarily superstitious. No one asked at the presser whether Marnus would open for Queensland in the next round. If he is being envisioned as a potential opener, when it probably wouldn't be a bad idea for him to open to Queensland, especially when there's a vacancy with Usman not playing.
The answer to that question can be political in some ways, in that the national selectors don't like to dictate. Oh, well, the states don't like being dictated to by the national selectors on this thing. For my money, first morning in Perth, I want to see Weatherald walk out and open. I think that's my pick of the teams. He spoke very highly of him, didn't he? He has seen off some late competition, at least in the public's mind, coming from Renshaw in Queensland and Mitch Marsh from the Moon or Greg Chappell.
I think it. I reckon George usually gives a pretty good explanation of his thinking. He said that the way that Weatherald plays is significant. You know, he's a busy player. He scores quickly. He's a good complement in that respect for Khawaja. He said that it's based on the accumulation of his record over 12 to 18 months. You know, he's put together a consistent string of performances, and he doesn't shift his approach very much between games. You know, he's got a consistent game plan, and he approaches every innings the same, and they're useful attributes. That's the value of first class cricket, is that opportunity to see whether a guy has a repeatable method, and you know whether he's a player who produces a consistent level of performances rather than peaks and troughs. And I think that's important for opening batters in particular. You know, opening batters are perpetually at risk of getting that ball they can't do very much about. And their weight of runs is sometimes magnified by the amount of time that they can use up at the top. Now, Chris Rogers always used to say that, you know, find a way to contribute somehow. Even if you can't make huge scoreboard impact, try to soak up balls at the top. You know, if you've ended a game with a score of, 11 and 25, you might actually have done a job for your team as an opening batter.
Yeah. There can be situations where just making the first strings break is a significant contribution to the team, isn't it?
Yeah. Particularly on a pitch like Perth, which will do a bit, and England has the potential to break open that top of the Australian order in advantageous conditions. You know, runs by the opening batter are going to be significant. And George also referred to Weatherall's counter-punching 94 in that game for Tassie against Western Australia, where he was able to shift the momentum in a low-scoring game. And the chances are that this will be a relatively low-scoring Ashes. Pitches are spicier in Australia than they used to be. England has a high octane attack. We're getting results everywhere we look in Test cricket around the world. Often, you know, the capacity of a player to shift a game in an hour is not to be underestimated.
Yeah, I think that. So you agree? That's what you want to see? You want to see Weatherald open?
Yeah, I do.
It's bad news for Webster, but I've come around to that. I was originally couldn't quite accept that Webster would be squeezed out of this team because he's done nothing wrong. But when push comes to shove, I'd prefer to see Cameron Green batting there if he can, and bowling there. There's a lot of talk about bowling workloads and things like that, but to be honest, and as you pointed out the other day when you talk about Nathan Lyon, they're not bowling a lot of overs anymore.
No, they're not. No. And
there's a big break
time
between
gaps,
those tests.
The 9-day breaks between the test matches is a factor as well.
There's never squads without controversy, Gideon. From the journo front, cricket.com.au appear to have broken the embargo by 5 whole minutes. Not very happy.
5 minutes?
No one's very happy about that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So there may well be a punch up at the net session before the first test.
I must say it was nice to see everyone's faces in the press this morning, even if I couldn't actually talk to them.
Well, I did a screen grab, so if you're reporting, you can use the screen grab or two. Wanted to capture you at a press conference. Of course, a little bit of tension around what Steve Waugh has been reported on, saying by, I think it was in Andrew Wu's piece this morning, wasn't it?
Yep.
Where he suggests that the players have been picking the teams and sort of echoes that. Was it Lehman that said originally that accused the selectors of being a little bit too close to the players? Something that naturally George pushed back against. And it was a fair question that he asked. I mean, it's a fair point that Steve Waugh makes, that you don't want to end up with a team where you've got 3 or 4, important players leaving at the same time. But where do you make the call? Is it when you reach 33 and a third, you're out of the team? Because that's, as we've noted in the past, that's the age thing has shifted a lot in cricket. 38-year-olds are a far more sort of valid prospect than they once were. And players are coming into their own much later and staying in the game much longer.
Yes.
But it's also a very fair point that you don't want to suddenly turn around and say, geez, where did everyone go? What's our next option?
Yes. And the chances are that players will retire together. That's the way that they do things. One guy goes and then 3 go. Because, that signifies a period of change that kind of makes everyone consider their own mortality. I wouldn't be surprised if, Lyon went, then Stark went, and maybe Hazelwood went, within a relatively short period of time. I think the other thing that's worth, talking about here, and this idea of whether a chairman of selectors can be too close to the players. George was asked specifically about that, and he said, and he confirmed, yes, he does talk to the players, not necessarily about themselves, but about each other. He regards them as a form of intelligence. How is so and so going? Do you think he's in a good place? Do you think he's ready to take the next step? I mean, it was interesting the other day when Usman Khawaja was asked about Renshaw. We asked the same questions. We asked Usman whether Renshaw was ready for the call-up. And in fact, he said explicitly he's looked the part. He always does when he goes to the next level. You feel like he is the one guy who actually belongs at the next level, which makes it a little bit interesting now that he's not going to be opening with Renshaw in Perth. But I'll park that to one side.
George defended him. George defended him saying that, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he said, when you're often asked about a player, you're guilty for not speaking about the other player. I seem to be alone on this one because your mate Ed of similar opinion and berating me. I thought Usman was talking. I mean, he could have been wiser, but he was talking as a Sheffield Shield player. I thought in that instance, and lightheartedly. And anyway,
I think it is dangerous to say he's the one guy who actually belongs. That's. I don't mind him saying he's a good player. I don't want him saying that he'll do well when he goes to the next level. But to say he's the one guy, I think that is...
Yeah, that might be...
Usman should have been smarter than that. Anyway, to the point about the closeness between the chairman of selectors and the players, what do you think of George's proposition that it is useful to glean insight into players from one another?
Never really thought about it. I've never had too much concern about George, about them being too close to the players, so long as they can make the tough calls. Okay, you could imagine that there are issues around asking one player how another player's going, because players are rivals within the same teams as well. But there are probably the people that you ask and people that you don't ask, because you know the quality of the information that you're going to get from them, and that it will be stripped of anything extraneous. As long as you are bold enough when time comes to take them out the back and shoot them, I don't mind that. They did that quite recently with Marnus Labuschagne, didn't they? What do you think?
Well, I think that probably 95% of the time, a player who's asked about another player who he knows is going to say, yeah, he's good, he's ready, he's up for it. Just simply because players accentuate the positive. That's in the nature, I think, of being an elite player. Is that you tend to be a glass half full kind of person, because that's the attitude that cricket instills in you. Cricket's so full of failure that you have to be able to move past that failure, which I was writing about on my post on Cricket et al. Today. And if you've seen a guy succeed, your attitude is going to be, well, he can succeed again. I've seen him succeed. He's proved that he's got what it takes. He can do it again, and I'm going to have faith because I want to be supportive. Yeah, the situation's a little bit analogous to the arguments that we used to have in the 80s and 90s about whether Bob Simpson had too much power in Australian cricket, that he was in the dressing room with the players as coach and also had a vote at selection, and his voice carried a long way. Simo always used to say in that classic kind of Simo way that, if he didn't know that a player was in trouble already, then he wasn't much of a coach. People would say, but players won't confide in you, Simo, if they feel as though they're revealing their vulnerability. And Simo, of course, just rode over the top of that. But it is interesting when players, selectors, coaches take multiple roles. You are making a kind of a statement about your trust in those individuals and their abilities to compartmentalize their responsibilities, and also to act, to think objectively. I mean, selection is so full of hunches and so full of feeling, and can so easily be undermined by chance events. So say Weatherald fails in Perth. I want him to succeed in Perth, don't get me wrong. But does that make the initial selection decision wrong?
No, I totally agree with you. The selectors, that you can't deduce that the selection was wrong if a player fails. Against what you say, I think that the individuals in these situations are important, and the nature of the individuals when casting about and talking to the team, and talking about coaches and selectors and players. For instance, where the next time that, remember, Ricky Ponting always argued that a captain should be a selector. Yeah. And that finally happened when it came to Michael Clarke at a particularly sort of volatile time in Australian cricket. Clarke didn't enjoy it. It didn't work well, and the experiment ended.
I think you're quite enjoyed it, Pete. I think he might have actually enjoyed it a little bit too much.
Yeah, well, okay.
But it wasn't a completely easy piece. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It was always, yes. And I also think you're viewing those kind of conversations as if they happen in a sort of public sphere. But if I'm Bailey, I'm going in there, and to find out about the batters, I'm probably taking one or two bowlers whose judgments I value aside and saying, how's he going? I'm going, and now there's no way that Steve Smith is pumping up his mate's tyres. I reckon Steve Smith is the kind of guy who's going to give you a straight answer about his teammates if you're George Bailey. And he would be the sort of guy I'd talk to. Maybe you don't go to the boosters and things like that. To move on, they're very sensitive about Sam Constas, aren't they, and the attention he gets. That was brought up a couple. I mean, they are sensitive to attention and to the commentary around the team, this mob.
George specifically mentioned that he'd spoken to Sam today, and that every conversation with Sam was a pleasure.
Yes.
Because he's got such a great outlook on life. I wonder if you asked him his opinion on the team. soliciting intelligence from him. Sam, what do you reckon?
He is a unique cat. Everyone tells me the same thing. He's an extraordinary human being. Yeah. Everyone wishes him well in cricket. I hope he gets it right. And hey, him and Callaway and these guys, another 12 months in the Shield will not hurt them at all, or Australian cricket either, I think. No. Even your mate from Geelong, what's his name?
Andrew McDonald?
No.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. He's
Andrew
good
McDonald.
Well, everyone's from Geelong these days. I'd be interested to see what. I assume now that Constas will probably not feature in this series. It'll be interesting to see how he handles being the Big Bash League later this summer, which does specialise in the kind of the manufacture of hyperbole and the manufacture of sort of celebrity and and the manufacture of sort of figures of to draw eyeballs. I think he's handled the press of public curiosity very well so far in his brief career.
Absolutely,
but it's slightly different, isn't it, in the BBL, because you're going out every night in different conditions in a chancier kind of game where a degree of failure, a streak of failure is probably unavoidable at some stage. That will be an interesting test for Constas. It's a sort of it's an exciting but a rather meretricious world, BBL, and potentially head turning for a player who's too impressionable.
Are you concerned that he might be distracted from more important matters?
A little bit, yeah. Well, we've lost a big draw card of the BBL, haven't we? We've lost Ravi Ashwin. He's now not coming.
We've buried the lead. We've buried the lead.
So we're going to have to come up with a few other talking poits.
That is a big blow for
That's
the
a
Big
huge
Bash.
blow.
Yeah, a big blow for Big Bash, that one. It was only a few weeks ago that he announced he was going to play every game, and he would have been a fascinating part of the BBL. He would have been
box office, yeah,
I'm
exactly.
sure they'll probably bring him out here in a wheelchair and he'll commentate from the sideline or something like that, but it ain't going to be the same.
Oh, yeah, shown his seriousness about it by, it's a training injury, isn't it? So he was clearly working hard to be ready. But, these things happen when you get a bit older. Your body's a little bit less resilient. The risks are that much greater. He's not playing international cricket anymore, so he's got kind of his own. I guess he's got his own sort of entourage, his own retinue, who's looking after his physical fitness. So things are different once your international career is over.
I need to do some research on this, but what's happened to Michael Neser?
Good question.
Has he just grown stale on the shelf?
Well, no. Of course, George was asked about that in the presser, and he said that Neser is still in the frame, especially for the pink ball test, even though Sean Abbott has been picked ahead of him as the kind of the substitute, one of the substitute seamers for Perth. He's still a very good cricketer, Michael Neser. He got injured at exactly the wrong time, just when he appeared likely to have got nearer to the front of the queue, and inevitably you drop to the back when you have an interruption like that. I reckon this summer we're probably going to see most of them at some stage, aren't we? Pat Cummins is bowling today. Apparently, is bowling tomorrow. So that's a step forward.
Should Cricket et al. Go out to Comedy Central and try and peek through the blinds on the nets to catch a glimpse of Captain Cummins bowling?
It's all yours. It's all yours. I know you love furtive assignments like that.
I do, actually. Yeah, it's kind of my gig. Yeah, hiding behind trees and things like that. Gideon, if I was allowed one indulgence this summer, I want to see Sean Abbott play Test cricket.
Yeah.
I think that would be a fantastic story.
Yes, it would.
And as much as the story was one that we kind of mumble past a lot with the whole Phillip Hughes thing, but that was 10 years ago now, and it's been back in the press, unfortunately, last week with Sean going out and sort of paying a tribute to the kid at the Nets. Didn't visit the family, by the way. Weatherald is also an excellent story. I mean, it's been a difficult journey. Jake Weatherald in cricket. Twice, I think he's given up on cricket, hasn't he, or walked away from the game.
Well, he's had two mental health breaks. Yeah, so he's a very interesting player who I think has huge natural talent, and sometimes a huge natural talent can be a bit of a burden. You expect the talent to do the work for you. And there's a question of how much you have to apply yourself and how much you kind of rely on your natural game. I think he's gone a long way to working that out over the last 12 to 18 months. And I think, I just really like the look of him. I've liked the look of him for a long time. He just looks the part. He looks like... Yeah, he's got that left hand, his elegance. He's got that. He's got that busyness. He's got that. He looks like a cricketer. He's a good athlete. He can catch. There's something about him. But when a player like that doesn't break through, you do begin to ask questions about other parts of their makeup that you don't see. Anyway, I'm delighted to see that he's made it through, and I think he's the right choice.
10 very bumpy years in the Sheffield Shield, hasn't he? Like he did, as you say, he started quite well. His second, third, fifth years were pretty good. Yeah. Then there was a decline, and the mental health interruptions and those sorts of things. But the very, very big year was last year.
Yes.
And he looks like the kind of guy who can hold his own in Test match cricket after 10 years in first-class cricket. I was interested in a reflection on Usman. What was the stat that popped up? Is it that he's had one Test 100 in 44 innings?
44 innings, yeah. And he earned himself a T-shirt. I can see over your shoulder.
Is that where that went? Why is there a T-shirt hanging on the back wall? What was I thinking about then? Oh, him going out first-class cricket, looking the part. Now, Usman goes back to first-class cricket and just looks the part in much the same way that Marnus has, although I think in Marnus he's looking better than he was in Test match cricket. It kind of reminds me of Ponting a little bit. Those last 3 years of when Ponting was struggling in Test match cricket, he'd go back to first-class cricket, and I think in that second last season of his, he was the leading run. He'd scored 4 centuries in Sheffield Shield cricket, hadn't he? So every time he went back, he was a level above the participants of Sheffield Shield cricket.
Yes.
But not quite at Test level anymore.
No. But, I think the other thing about long-term first-class players is that after a while, after the euphoria of breaking through to that level wears off, they begin to wonder where they are. Are they actually going to go on? Is this as high as I'm going to ever get? I'm so close, but maybe I'm not close at all. They get confused about where they rank. They get confused about their motivations for doing it. Am I simply doing it because I'm getting paid for it? Am I doing it because I really want to play Test cricket for Australia? Or are there other options? There are lots of other options these days for a player like Jake Weatherald, who, of course, probably achieved note first of all in the Big Bash League with that famous 100 in the final. There would have been temptations to think about franchise cricket as a potential outlet. It's interesting that it can sometimes take a decision to take your future in hand that can take a player on to get a player over that bump. Weatherald had kind of been stagnating, I've got a feeling, in South Australia. Maybe the setup Not that he'd fallen out with the setup, but the setup kind of took him for granted or weren't, that he wasn't completely in harmony with them. And he was out of contract, wasn't he? South Australia had not renewed his contract when he took the opportunity to go to Tasmania. And it's a big step to do that. Apparently Weatherald's partner still lives in Adelaide. So he goes to Tasmania to play his cricket, but he's left his sort of personal life behind. So that's a huge sacrifice for him. But the sacrifice has paid off. And I'm delighted for him. I can't wait. If he plays.
Well,
assuming he plays.
Ed Cowan made a similar sacrifice, didn't he? To get into the Test team, he went down to Tasmania, proved his worth, but he took his family with him. He established a home at Sandy Bay or somewhere like that, didn't he?
He liked. I remember talking to Ed about this, and of course I ghosted a book with Ed about a first class season that he played 2010-11 actually, just before he got picked in the Test team. The thing that he really liked about moving to Tasmania was the closeness of the weave of the players. The fact that no one was too far apart. It was a smaller city. That players were very, very mutually dependent, in each other's back pockets. There was not much to do apart from dedicate yourself to cricket. George, of course, was fundamental to that. George Bailey was the captain of Tasmania at the time, and Ed formed a close simpatico with George. I suspect that Jordan Silk's a solid citizen, and he's had the odd issue about his approach to the game. He's taken the odd break as well. So I reckon he would have worked well in harmony with Jake. And the other thing is we've talked about this before, but Jake has been working with Tom Scalay at cricket mentoring in Western Australia. That link up happened through Chris Rogers, who'd worked with Jake at the Centre of Excellence, and he's given a lot of thought to his mental preparation for cricket. He's an older and wiser player than he was in his mid-20s, and a better player for it, I think.
It's good. Well, thanks to everybody at Cricket et al. Who sent in their 11s during the week. That was pretty well subscribed. Our guest earlier in the week, Bernard Fenning, sent me a text this morning and said, wrong again. I'm quite used to it. I said,
actually, I reckon he was pretty close.
He was pretty close. I said, no, you've got it completely wrong. This is how a journalist in this situation slams the selectors who've stuffed it up. So you have to, they've got it wrong, not you. But,
no, I think he picked Weatherald, didn't he? He just failed to pick enough players.
No, he had Renshaw. Oh,
did he have Renshaw? Okay.
You and he had Renshaw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought. Well, I've liked Weatherald. I had the feeling they were going to pick Renshaw. Of course, I should never trust my feelings. It's like your bunions in the rain. You should.
And I've just got another message from another friend called Henry Mulholland, who said the Bernard Fanning podcast was so good, I missed the Melbourne Cup because of it. So he got distracted by the podcast and missed the Melbourne Cup. It's the first and last mention of the Melbourne Cup on this podcast.
It was fantastic. And I'm looking forward to seeing Bernard at the Palais in March.
Yes, and we should be back later in the week with the promised interview about your fantastic new book.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got one more pod this week. We're
one
working
more pod this
hard,
week,
Gideon.
Okay, all right, that's it.
Yeah. Are you going to file this afternoon?
I think we've probably said our piece. I think we've probably said our piece. Yeah.
Maybe I could type up Gideon Haigh said. Gideon Haigh slam selectors. Questions.
Former great slams.
Yarra's veteran. Yarra's veteran.
Former Yarra's chairman of selectors. Yeah.
Oh, were you? Oh, that's.
I've had 2 stints as chairman of selectors. I talk to players all the time about other blokes. Do you reckon this bloke can play? No, he's shit house. Don't pick him. He's hopeless. Pick me. That's the kind of conversations you have with players as a chairman of selectors in club cricket. Or the other question is, have you got any mates who want a game the weekend? We should
Does
actually
he bring
promote.
a good plate? Does he Do you actually
does he bring a plate? We've actually
does that get you into favour in club cricket if you bring a good
if
plate?
you cut the crusts off the sarnies, you have a much better chance of selection.
Oh, really? So who brings the best plate at the Yarras? Do they play in the first day?
We should actually pump our events next week, Pete, because we're both doing events with
next week?
With TGC.
Oh, gosh, is that in the diary? Hang on.
Yeah, I reckon yours is on Wednesday, the 12th of November.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you do. Yeah. And we're promoting, you're interviewing Higo and Sam about their book in Sydney. What's the venue?
It doesn't say in my diary. I'll tell you.
All right, check local guides.
People can find that out. Yeah, you have to buy a ticket to the Sydney event, I think. And when are you doing yours, Gid?
Well, I'm doing mine the following night at the Yarras. So come on down to Como Park about 7 o'clock after training. I actually said to Sam that we should hold a raffle then the three prize winners get a place in D grade on Sunday for the Yarras. that would solve two problems.
Yeah, someone wakes up with a sore head in the Yarras cupboard. They've been press game playing the next morning. Yeah. Okay. And I should also, unbeknownst to you, we've organised a Cricket et al. Live podcast at a brewery to be announced in Sydney on the eve of the test.
Yep.
So tickets are going to go on sale
Sydney
today.
Test.
I can't even remember.
Sydney Test.
Yep. Akasha Brewery. Akasha Brewery is the name of it. It's friend of Willie's because Willie's has got a wedding on that night.
Okay. It's in 5 Dock, apparently. Yeah. 5 Dock?
5 Dock, is it? Yeah, I visited it, and that's where it is. So that'll be on the eve of the test.
Okay, so you heard it here first, Yarra's live event.
We may not. We may not have a special guest. I don't know.
Check and see what Bernard's doing that night.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. Bernard, do you want to come?
Yeah. Okay. All right, that's probably all we've got time for on Cricket et al. Great to have you with us with this special edition on Australia's first test squad rather than team. We look forward to further developments. There'll be one other pod this week. Pete and I will be discussing my new book, Who is Wallace? But in the meantime, it's goodbye from me.
And it's good night from him.